Well, let me just say, if I understand your question, you're asking about the relationship between the different activities of the Democratic Party, the state committee, legislators, Democratic legislators, and so on. My sense of it is, and I spent a lot of time the past few years over at the legislature, my sense of it is there's virtually no communication between the state Democratic Party and Democratic legislators. That the Democratic leadership meets with legislators, rank and file legislators, they move ahead. Now, I could be wrong about that, and if I am, I would certainly appreciate being told so and instructed about it. But I think the party itself needs to be more involved with the legislature, acknowledging that the legislature was elected by all the people of the state of Maine who voted, and that we certainly want to work closely together so that we're not at cross purposes. And I would be interested in having the party being the spokes voice, the voice for Democrats in the state of Maine, not to step on legislative leadership's toes, but so that some of the heat is off legislative leaders. They have to work with our Republican counterparts. And if they are there sounding like the Republicans sound in the Congress of the United States, constantly criticizing, constantly belittling, constantly taking issue with things, then I think it makes it more difficult for us, all of us, to end up with sound public policy. I think we could take a lot of that heat off our legislators, our legislative delegations, and put it onto the Democratic Party, and not by being critical constantly, as I said before, and I want to reiterate this, but by offering an enlightened perspective and alternative to some of the things that we've already heard coming out of our governor-elect and now our governor, and I suspect we're going to have a lot more of it.
Stephanie.
I hope I've understood your question.
Well, I meant it as open-ended and giving you a chance to take off where you want.
Okay, all right, go where I want. I think I may be wrong about this, but I think there's a legislative liaison committee, subcommittee, and I think that committee has got to be given the tools to work and to reach out to the legislature, legislative leadership. I think it's particularly important right now because all of a sudden we find ourselves without a Democratic governor, without Democratic leadership, and we are now the voice of Democrats in the state. We don't have the governor anymore to be that voice. So it's critically important for us to make sure that committee is strong and has communication with legislative leadership and is on message, frankly. And we all need to be talking about the ideals and principles we believe in, but we need to be talking about the same things so that people hear that message clearly. In terms of the real world stuff, and we need to strengthen our town and county and municipal committees, because all politics is local. And unless we have the best people in there and the people working the hardest and out there, first of all, people listen when neighbors talk to them and friends talk to them about why the Democratic Party is a party that they should really vote for, and they're going to help their cause, so help their own. So anyway, it's all local. Those committees have to be very strong. We got to get the best people. Maybe there should be a nominating subcommittee or something at both the county levels and for the state committee, because I think we got to get really good people, and we have great people now, but we need more, and I think that's the way we get our message out locally.
Melissa.
I love you, Bob, but I hate your questions. It's so open-ended. Do I think that the legislators and the county committees and the everyday ordinary Democrats on the street should be involved in deciding how to replace the furnace when it blows up? No. Do they need to be troubled with that? No. Yes, we do have a legislative oversight subcommittee. It does exist. Yes, I concur with Stephanie that it needs to have its tools in order to work in tandem with the legislature. But I think that communication is about listening and responding. And I think it's important that the chair of the party have regular meetings with the legislative leadership, that they have regular meetings with the county leadership, that they have not just the executive committee meeting, but that they go out and talk with and listen to on a regular basis and respond to the needs of all of the constituent groups that John has been talking about that has left the party. We have to go back and get them, and I think we get them by listening and responding. Because it's not enough to just sit there and nod your head and go, yeah, that's absolutely right, and then go back and not do anything. So I think, unfortunately, Bob, I wish I could give you more details, but you know, I'm not really good with your open-ended questions. I suck at that. I apologize. So that's my kind of overview.
Ben?
Well, I think in the first instance, you've got to just make it a priority to work with the legislature. I mean, the state committee and the legislature work in tandem toward the same goals, and you just have to be there and insist that they meet with you on a regular basis. I mean, the legislature, especially the leadership, are pulled in many, many different directions. And, Jan and I both have experience over there. We know all the players, and we'll show up and we'll meet with them. I think Melissa's right. You need regular meetings, regular communication. You need to work with their communication staff, to work with the party's communications people, so that there's a unified effort and message there. And it goes beyond the legislative session too. I mean, I think the caucus programs and the state committee need to be brought back together when it comes to planning for the campaign season, so that there's buy-in from both sides, there's common understanding from both sides about what works at the activist level and what the caucuses are looking for. So I don't think there's a magic bullet to it. I think it's just prioritizing that communication, and that's something I'm pledging to do, and I know Janet will do as well.
Thanks, guys. Now let's see.